Welcome in to the latest and greatest episode of the Knucklehead Show. I'm your host, Kelvin Ware, and today I'm actually just jumping on really quick. I got something on my mind, so I was like, all right, let's go ahead, let's shoot it, let's talk about it. I got a meeting that I got to leave for in about 30 minutes, so let's get right to it. Uh, are you doing things that are making your life more difficult? Are you believing in things that are making you non-competitive in this world today? Uh, I was sitting there, I was listening to somebody that I like that I like to listen to, and they were talking, and they were just kind of discussing different things that a lot of people choose to believe in, that completely remove their competitive edge. Uh, Look, guys, economics, making money, this is a team sport. It is a highly competitive team sport. If you are by yourself, if you're trying to gain wealth, gain assets, just if you're just trying to get basic stability and you're trying to do it by yourself, you're not going to be as competitive. I'm sorry. The analogy that I kept thinking about when I was listening to them talk was, you can get the best. We're going to use football here. So if you don't know football, I'm sorry. I'm sure this will apply for any other sport. You can get the best football player in the NFL. You name them, whether no matter the position, you name it, you get that guy. You put him by himself, and he has to play a full game against a high school squad. He's gonna lose. Individually, he's leaps and bounds better than every other player on the other team. You can be leaps and bounds better than your entire competition. But if you're doing it by yourself, if you don't have a team, if you aren't cultivating relationships, you're gonna lose. I, I'm learning this more and more as I'm on my entrepreneurial journey. Uh, Once I started going to events, meeting people, paying to get into different types of rooms, you quickly start realizing that, hey man, if I really want to stay extremely competitive, if I want to move the ball forward, not to stick to the sports analogy, but if I want to move forward in what I want to do, then I'm going to need a team. Uh, you need people to complement you. The goal, if you look, I mean, all right, now I'm going to go back to the sports analogy. If you want to build a really, really good football team, then you can't have just a team full of skill players, because they won't be able to block or, force their will on another team, because all you have is really, really small athletic guys. But then you also can't have just a team full of just big buff dudes and no skill players, because then you can be exploited that way. You need a well-rounded team. You need different people who do different things working together towards a goal. If you are not actively trying to do that, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Now, me personally, I'm looking at that. I look at just looking at that problem from a more high level. But if I just bring it down in our community, in the black community, I personally think that there is a purposeful move to try to separate men and women for two things. For two reasons, I should say. For two reasons. If you have men and women separated, you can exploit them monetarily very easy. America is more and more expensive every single day. You all see it. It's just more expensive. But the wage growth is not going up with the level of expenses. So what a $50,000 job could afford you 20 years ago, it can't afford you that today. So the more you separate people, keep them as individuals, the more you can extract finances out of them, and the more they can no longer compete with you. If you have a team and everybody else, you're surrounded by individuals, the team can afford things together. Individuals, it's going to be hard. I look at that when I look at our community, and I feel like the fact that we don't have marriage as a major staple in our community, I think it's a huge detriment to the future success of what we're trying to do. Married couples have more wealth than single people. This is not an opinion, folks. This is just fact. Now, obviously, you have to stay together. You have to pick the right spouse. Hopefully, they're not mentally, emotionally, physically abusive. I'm not saying you just have to do it just to do it, okay? Has to be with the right person. You have to be committed, be able to communicate, compromise, all these things, man. Like I get it. It's a lot to it. I'm not. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, but if you look at the cultures that really push for marriage, they do better. And if you look at our culture where it's, you know, do it by yourself, you got you have a lot of black men over the last maybe like 10, 15 years. They've been moving toward the MGTOW movement, men going their own way. If you guys don't know what that stands for, where men, they're just like, all right, we're not dating black women. We're gonna go overseas and trick. That's really what it is. Let's call it for what it is. Let's, don't shoot the messenger. That's what it is. Then you have women, oh, I'm bad, I can do it by myself. I don't need these. Like, bro, like these philosophies that are like just seething in our community, they're not lending to us being competitive. Again, economics, money is a team sport, a highly competitive team sport. So if you are not building a team, if you bring it down to the basic level, just the nuclear family, if you bring it all the way up to, hey, are we building foundations? Are we building entities? Are we building companies together and not allowing the money to break us apart? I have I had just brought on some clients. There's a group of four young guys, and they're trying to start a trucking company together. And in the consultation, one of the first things I said to them, I was like, look, guys, understand that you guys came together to make money. So to allow money to break you guys apart defeats the purpose. Be fair, be reasonable. Understand that when you guys go down this road, it's gonna have ups and downs, but the whole point is to make money. So make money and stay together, stay strong, so then you guys can go far. But the saying is, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with a team. We have a community of people going really fast, not going very far. This is something that we always need to be cognizant of. We need to be thinking about, analyzing. This is a team sport. America, the prices of things are never going back down. So, are you partnering with somebody? Are you understanding that you're going to have a more fulfilling life with one person, growing old with that person, building with that person, gaining wealth with that person, than you are going to be by yourself living your way? Just to be completely honest with you guys, just to be completely transparent, I now have a group based on, I went to a mastermind for loan brokering. Being a business loan broker, went to a mastermind. The mastermind was $10,000. Pay the $10,000. You go down to Florida and you go. That class that I was in all of us stayed together after the class. Most of the time when classes they end, everybody goes their own way and they just try to figure it out together. I mean, figure it out on their own. And most people, they pay the money for the course, but they actually can't really execute on the information because it's a lot of information over 3 days. They really condense it. They hit you with a lot of it really fast and they send you on your way. And you only saw the information from one angle. So you go back and you try to implement it and there's going to be holes in your game. But because we stay together and we talk, we communicate, it went from just us encouraging each other to implement the information, plugging in the holes that, four of us may have a question, but one of the people, somebody else heard the answer and, they send it to the group and we just keep going like that. It went from that to now we're doing business with each other. It's a bunch of like-minded individuals. I think it's like 16 of us all together. And we're doing business with each other. We're giving each other clients based on, hey, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. Here, you take this client. For instance, I don't do credit repair. I tried credit repair. I don't like doing it. I don't like dealing with the clients. I just don't want to do it. 3 people in the group do credit repair. So when I get a client who I can't fund, who needs credit repair, hey, I got this client. They say they have this, this, and this. You want them? Yeah. No, hey, yeah, send them through. Bam, send them over there. Now I just got them a lead that they didn't have to work for. Just because we're in the same network, we're on the same team. They just got a lead. They're gonna make money off that guy, that lady, that business, whoever. They're gonna make money off of them. And then they're gonna send them right back to me and I'm gonna get them funding and I'm gonna make my money. We kept everything in the house, kept everything in the team. Now, if you are somebody, you're trying to do funding, you're trying to do credit repair, you're trying to, you have a business where you help people establish and open up entities, you're doing all of these things, all these things by yourself. You think that you will be able to compete with us? No chance. No chance. You got to do too much. You have to do way too much. You have to go source all your clients. I'm passing clients to the people. You have to fix their credit. I'm waiting for it to get done. Then when they come back to me, then I do what I'd like to do. Now we specialize. But now we're also getting into different things because a lot of people have different businesses outside of the funding credit space. We have somebody in the group, she's a notary. We don't even have to go out of the group for that. I want to learn how to buy cars from the auction. I'm done dealing with dealerships. I don't want to deal with that if I don't have to. Well, one person in the group has a used car dealership and does Toro. She literally put the whole group on game. Has a very successful Toro business. How do you compete with us? Now, mind you, I still think what we have is small and it's still in its infancy. But if you're sitting there trying to do it, and let's say you want to do all of these things, but you're trying to do it by yourself, how do you compete with us? How can you win? You can't. You can't beat us. We have a guy that has already done SBA loans and knows how to do it. He knows how to get all the paperwork set up straight and everything. Everybody knows that for SBA loans that you need 10% down. So we look at it as, okay, we can go make a major purchase of a business, a lot of senior citizen homes and personal care facilities. Those things run about $1 million. On the low end, it's like maybe you might be able to get one for $800,000, but you can't come in with anything less than that. Now you can get the SBA to cover that, but then you still have to come in with your 10%. Well, it's a whole group of us. We all know how to get funding. We all put our cash together. Everybody comes in. Let's say there's 10 of us. Keep the numbers round. Let's say it's 10 of us. We all come in with $10,000. Now we got 100,000. That's our down payment. Now we can get $1 million loan. Let's say we all come with 20 because we know how to get it. We all know how to get it now. So we come with 20, we double it up. You're sitting there trying to do it by yourself. You can't even touch these type of facilities. And the revenue on these facilities are insane, insane. But if you're doing it by yourself, then you will not be able to compete. You cannot do it. You have to be mindful of this always. Am I building a team? Just think about it this way. The people who want the things that I want, how do I beat them to get it? Now, I do believe that there's more than enough for everybody to have some, but the reality is we all see what's happening in America. Everything's more expensive. Most people can't even afford to buy a house. If you're just relying on your one income, you have kids, you have one income. Let's say you have two. Let's say you have a 9 to 5 and you have a side business, but then you have kids. So now you got to work your 9 to 5. You have to try to work your side business, and you have to be a parent. Doing it by it. Come on, bro. We got a whole 15-man team. We don't have to do it all. That's what it's about, man. The world that we live in, despite what you see on TV and what they make you think when you listen to the politics, the world we live in, society, it doesn't really matter where you are. It is ran by small groups of people, factions, if you will. That's what runs everything. Are you part of a faction? Is question number one. Is the faction moving in the direction that you want? And are you contributing anything to it? And if the answer is yes to all three of those questions, then you're in a good spot. If the answer is no to, especially the first one, then you have a major problem. You got a major problem. It doesn't even matter how small. It can be a small town in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. There's a small group of people that are the movers and shakers of that town. 100%. You can book it. You can be one of those people, but you have to put yourself in position. You have to constantly be in a position where you can give value, and then you receive it back. Get around people who are operating on that frequency. Most people in the world, because they understand that it's expensive, the world's becoming more and more expensive. It's hard out here. Most people are take. And if you get around enough people, they will suck you dry. Like mosquitoes or vampires. It's just what it is. They're not bad people. It's self-preservation. I think self-preservation is the number one. What am I trying to say? I think it's the number one human instinct. We all want to preserve ourselves. So if somebody looks at you as a way to preserve themselves, you can't take it personal. Like I always talk about, man, take your emotions out of it. Just look at the situation for what it is, and then react and move accordingly. But man, look, this is it, guys. The time of being average and still living a good life here in America is over. It doesn't exist anymore. A lot of people took out student loans for degrees, and they can't get work. That whole just get a degree and you're good. That world is over, guys. It is over. If you're still operating on that, one, you're not paying attention to as things change. You have to be paying attention to what's changing. But that world is over. The world, it does not exist. If you want to live well, then you need to be exceptional on some level. You need to have some tangible skill that is not going to be replaced easily. Guys, that is what it is. I'm sorry if if people don't like it. I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable. Because it's scary if you have the wrong mindset. And that's what we always talk about here at the Knucklehead Show. It's mindset. It's mindset. But if you're not thinking about these things, looking at these things, like, man, the world, everything is changing. And you have to be able to change with it. You have to be adaptable. Or you have to be able to adapt. That's what it is. You have no option. The way things worked in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, they will not work anymore. They just will not work. You see a lot of people, obviously a lot of people came through, they left the borders open and a lot of people came through. There are a lot of new people here now. You have more people that you have to compete with. Because these people are not here to play. Bruh, look, you work for 2 years. It doesn't matter if you're an American citizen or not. If you can show that you've been working here for 2 years, you had a job for 2 years, you qualify for so many housing programs. Guys, it's that simple. It's that simple. You don't even really need to make a lot of money. There's still a lot of cheap homes in areas you may not want to live. But I mean, now you have a new pool of people. If you look at everything on the STEM side, there is a huge influx of people coming over from India. They have the same degrees as everybody. They speak English, and they'll work for less sometimes. Competition. What are you doing to circumvent it or to beat it? Now, mind you, I'm in the funding credit space, but something that I see every day is people who are not working on their credit. This is another thing that we have to, how are you making sure that you're competitive? If you do not have a good credit score, you're not competitive. Look, now break it down very quickly. We have a debt-based economy. America does. It is a debt-based economy. Debt is the only way to build wealth, okay? That whole saving, money in the mattress, that's over. It's been over. It's actually, no one that you talk to in your family should ever be talking about that, because that has been over for so long. That has been over for so long. Saving money, that's been over for so long. Your credit score, or having a low credit score, is an easy way to get you out of the game. Once your score is low, you cannot play the game. I mean, you do not have access to the tools and the levers to build wealth. Unless you just are making gobs of money in your 9 to 5 or whatever you're doing to where you don't need it, which is, unless you're making, with your 9 to 5, unless you're making over like $300,000 a year, even still, if you really want to take it to the next level, you'll still need credit. But if you have that's not normal. That's not what most people are dealing with. The average income in America, I think, is like less than $50,000. Household income is like around $50,000. So let's cut it. If you have a bad credit score and you're not actively trying to fix your credit, work on your credit, I look at it as you are perfectly okay with being removed from the competition. You're cool with it. There's no other way I can see that, because everything is based on that. If you have bad credit, you pay more in interest. Now, if you take out debt, debt is not taxed. Well, debt is not taxed because they tax you with interest. They're going to get money from you somehow. So you either make money, like revenue, you pay taxes, or you take out debt and you pay interest. There's a payment on both. It's set up like that on purpose, okay? So if you have a bad credit score and your credit is not tight, you're going to pay more in interest. Okay. Well, also, you're going to pay more in interest on basic things, but then banks are not going to lend to you to then invest into assets. Investing into assets saves on your taxes. See how it all goes together. So you having a bad credit score, not only do you get a tax on the money you borrow, but you can't even borrow money to get to lessen your tax burden. People with better credit scores, if they manage and leverage their personal credit, because some people have great credit scores and they don't leverage anything and they just buy consumer goods, which is the most idiotic thing that you can do. Don't do that. Just don't. If you want to use credit to make your daily purchases so you can build points, but you plan on paying it off with your regular 9-to-5 money or your business revenue, that's fine. That's just being smart. But if you're buying consumer goods with your credit and you're not buying assets, you're not investing into your business, what are you doing? But I digress. If you aren't working on you, if you don't have a good credit profile, if you don't have a good credit score, you are now making yourself non-competitive. Just think about that. You have to always be trying to figure out like, hey, I want options. I want choice. If you want that, then you need to understand how does the environment that I'm in operate, and then how can I have the most access in that environment? We have a debt-based environment. That means if you want to have access to one, just have lower interest rate because they're going to charge you on these things. You want lower interest rate. You need to have a better credit score. If you want to invest into things, to buy assets, you need a lower interest rate. I mean, you need a higher credit score. And if you have a low one, then it's put in place on purpose. Some of the things, if you get into the credit repair space, a lot of the things that are on our credit are illegal to have on the credit. But they leave it up to you to try to fight them to dispute it. Why do they allow this? Because the more people that they have with bad credit scores, the banking industry absolutely love it because they're going to ravage you with the interest rates. And then everybody else, they want you to have it because you are no longer competitive. I don't have to worry about you. That's just what it is. So, in conclusion, always be thinking about, hey, where am I at? And am I buying into things that are removing my competitive edge? Always be thinking about this. That's all I got for you. This is the Knucklehead Show. I'm your host, Kelvin Ware. If you got some value from it, like, comment, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Hey, y'all be safe out there.